also tonight is Allen Ritchie. He is an attorney, of course, Allen Ritchie Law Firm. And Allen, thanks so much for tuning in tonight for LawCall. He's on the phone with us. And I have a question for you, Allen. You know, people have been cooped up for a while now, and they may be thinking so much about wearing masks and the new social rules that they're not focused on the old rules regarding traffic safety, drunk driving. So, you know, big crowds are expected on this Memorial Day Monday. What should we be on the lookout for?
Well, first, thanks for having me. It's so good to be here and spend some time with y'all. And yeah, I feel like we've all been kind of cooped up here for the past few weeks or even months. And so this is a big weekend. Everybody's looking forward to getting out and kind of finding some new normal and knowing that we're still here and everybody's still here and we're enjoying. And it's really the beginning of the summer celebration that we're used to. But, you know, we really haven't been driving as much as we were accustomed to. And so this is a really heavy traffic weekend, and unfortunately, what happens a lot of times on Memorial Day weekend, as well as the 4th of July and Labor Day, is that a lot of times there's alcohol mixed with driving. And so, one, the roads are going to be congested. Two, folks who haven't been driving as much are back getting, kind of stretching their legs again and getting back on the road. And three, the worst of the three of the combination is the mixture of alcohol and driving. So, one, be vigilant, and two, if you're around folks who are drinking, encourage folks not to drive if they've been drinking, just because that's a bad combination, and we all know from bad experiences with other folks on the road and on congested highways, especially mixing alcohol, that's just a bad combination that leads to bad circumstances.
Also, Allen, you know, people are also going out on boats, and sometimes when that happens, they can have a little too much to drink as well. So people definitely need to be mindful of that. Also, Allen, wanted to ask you about this. You know, some people are adamant about wearing a mask and doing their part with the social distancing, but then others are defiant about not doing any of it. What does the law say about that?
That's a good question. You know, I was thinking about that over the weekend, that back in the 1700s, when our founding fathers drafted all of our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and all the amendments that followed, they never envisioned anything like what we've been living through for the past few months. And so we really don't have any specific laws that address wearing a face mask versus not wearing a face mask, or whether a business can force you to wear a face mask. So we're really in an area that this is a new day for our society, and there aren't specific bright line rules for whether a business can require you to wear a face mask or whether they can tell you don't wear a face mask. And so, as I thought about that, I scratched my head a little bit, and I thought, one, it's really become a flashpoint in our society now, whether you should or shouldn't wear a mask. And sometimes people are wearing masks to protect other folks from, for example, a healthcare worker who's out shopping. They may be wearing a mask to protect other folks from around them, not necessarily so much to protect themselves, but to protect other folks from the environment that they work in. And so there really aren't specific laws that address wearing face masks. And some of this, you got to not focus so much on the law, but we are a community. And I think communities, sometimes we do things that we don't necessarily think are so important for us in particular, but it may be something that's important for our neighbor's health. And so I'm sure that as a result of this experience, we're going to see some changes, some new laws that might specifically address that. But just because this is our first time going down this road as a world, as a state, as a country, and as a local community, there will be laws that are formulated to specifically address these circumstances for down the road.
Well, you know, Alan, we did a story earlier during NBC 15 News at 10 o'clock where, you know, we were showing live beach cameras throughout the day. There were just so many people at the beach. We did see a lot of social distancing. We also heard that there were, you know, some crews, law enforcement kind of checking out to make sure there wasn't any big groups. What should a person do if they're noticing that, you know, there's a big cluster of people, maybe more so than should be gathered at this point, even if they're outside? Is that against the law? Should someone call the law? What would you recommend?
Well, in the context of the beach, just because since we're talking about Memorial Day, the safest thing that I could recommend they do is stay away from the group that might be packed in a little bit closer or be congregating, and stay, just not to put yourself at risk of anything that any cooties that might be floating around in that group in terms of the coronavirus. But I would stay clear of it as long as it's not putting you at risk. And if you feel like it's putting you or your family or your group at risk, then you can see a local beach patrol or something like that and alert them to it. But I think that generally speaking, stay out of the fray and protect yourself and your family from being exposed to any of the viruses that might be floating around.
You know, also, I did see a picture of you on social media with one of our producers where you were wearing a mask. And I'm sure, you know, with you having to deal with clients, you know, typically in person, how are you guys handling things? And if somebody has a legal problem, do they still need to reach out to you guys at Allen and Ritchie? How are you guys handling your clients? Absolutely.
We're still talking with clients on a daily basis. Sometimes it's over the phone. Sometimes it's on FaceTime. Sometimes it's even out in the parking lot at the office where we just stand on either side of the truck and talk with each other face to face. So we are absolutely meeting with clients, speaking with clients, talking with clients on a daily basis to help guide them through the problems that folks are encountering as we walk along this path. That Bill's been busy talking with folks, and so have Jason and I. And so it's something that in light of even despite all of the changes in our normal lifestyle, folks still are in need of some guidance through legal hurdles that they're encountering.
Yeah, you know, I think we touched on a good point earlier in the show. So many people, you know, they've been practicing their social distancing. They have cabin fever. They're very concerned about not getting the coronavirus, and they may forget that, you know, although they're getting out now and they're beginning to ease things up, they definitely need to make sure that they are abiding by the law and keeping things in play, you know, in terms of gathering and not getting DUIs or driving a boat under the influence as well, because a lot of times during these holiday weekends those things can happen. Alan, thank you so much for joining us. We're glad that you were with us tonight, even if it was over the phone. And by the way, you can follow Allen Ritchie and his blog at erlawfirm.com/Allens-Answers. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you. Thanks so much.